So we're talking, so good morning, good afternoon once again, and welcome. Great to see you all this morning. So we're talking today about this here, this thing, this container, this vehicle that brought us into this very room, into your living room or dining room, wherever you are, and that we don't talk about so much, but talking about our physical bodies, our container of spirit and of wisdom and of joy and of love and of wonder and all of those fabulous things. So I'm glad you're with me today. Jesus said, you might remember I think it was the Sermon on the Mount, and he was asked the greatest commandment, and he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second part is equally as important, to love your neighbor as yourself. I don't know about you, but I have less of a problem loving my neighbor than sometimes I do myself. Because, well, that thing that happened yesterday that I just wish I would have done or wouldn't have done, and especially in the mirror, because when we get to a certain age, there are the opportunities to judge the color changes, the tightness changes, the extra poundage, all of those things that we might look at and judge as less than wonderful. And so the opportunity for us, because I don't like the word challenge, the opportunity for us is to recognize the truth of our being, that we are whole, complete, and perfect, and the essence, expression, and experience of spirit, period, right? Just in this moment. So we're going to talk about that this morning. These bodies are pretty amazing. We can do stuff. We can do small stuff, and sometimes we can do big stuff. You hear stories of people that there's a auto or a car situation or a truck situation, and somebody sees it and they go and move the vehicle off the body or whatever it is, or whatever. That there's no way in the world that they would be able to do that, but somehow they could do that. That's pretty incredible. I have a very enthusiastic golden retriever, and she loves to play. And so we play, and I get scratched on my hands sometimes. Or I'm doing something at work and I get scratched, and you put a Band-Aid on it and you just kind of ignore it. And then a few days later, what happens? It's not there anymore. Our body knew what to do. My body knew what to do, and it healed it. That's pretty impressive. We might look at that as normal and natural, and it is, and we might ignore it, but the truth is that's the truth of who we are and this amazing divine wisdom that dwells within us. So the strength to heal, the strength to do what needs to be done. And if you've been through situations in your life, you might have heard this expression that absolutely I resonate with, and you might as well. There we go. You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. And sometimes in life we are called on to be strong, to dwell, to reach out and draw on that wisdom, that knowledge, that power that dwells within us, and we're able to do that. So with this, because we've all been around for a little while, and some of us a longer while than others of us, and with that comes amazing experience and wisdom. As many of you know, I work with homeless 18 to 25-year-olds, and it's been almost a year, and I was doing that. We have a housing program where about 50 of the youth live, and I was doing the front desk for a while, and so it was just so much fun because when they'd come in from wherever they were, I'd check them in and check their pockets and their bags and all the rest of that to make sure that they didn't have anything with them that they shouldn't have, but also talk with them. How was your day? What's going on? Did you get that job? It just was really wonderful. And on my second day, this young man said, "Oh my God, you look just like my grandfather." And I texted the CEO, who was also a dear friend, and I said, "Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm going home." And we laughed about it. When we look at ourselves, do we see the wisdom, the experience, the ridiculously wonderful blessings that we have experienced in our lives? Or do we dwell more on, oh God, or oh God, or what, or oh God, or whatever the case might be? Do we recognize this body is God in expression? Do we allow ourselves to recognize that? Now there are things we can do, and if you've seen a few pictures of me, you might have noticed that back in the day, there was a whole lot less gray and a whole lot more of a darker color. And several months ago, I quit doing that. And if you do that, I honor and celebrate you, and you are absolutely more than welcome to do that, and there is no judgment for that. And if you don't, I honor and celebrate you as well, because whatever works for you is absolutely, absolutely fine. There is no judgment here whatsoever. So we color, we nip, we tuck, we lift, we separate, we do all of those things. And if that makes us feel better about ourselves, that's absolutely fine. The truth being, we are already the beloved. We are already just fine and just wonderful. When we look at ourselves, we've come from the family with, some hereditary things. The Trower men tend to have larger ears, and so I can hear almost anything with ears this size. And we look at our ears or our nose or whatever physical attribute that maybe we're not that wild about. And we can choose to do something about it if we want to, or we can recognize that we are already perfect. Because, now I have to tell you, I found this saying in Cracker Barrel in Las Vegas several years ago, and it just so touched my heart that I bought it on a plaque. But this is so important. I am not beautiful like you. I am beautiful like me. How important it is for us to recognize that. They say that everybody looks like somebody, but there's only probably one or two people out there in the entire world that look like us, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, because we are whole and complete, unique expressions of the divine. And how wonderful and how amazing is that? So the best body is the one that's here right now, right in this room, seated in your seat. The best body. How important it is for us to do what Sylvia sang about earlier and love. Yes, we can lose the weight. Yes, we can color. Yes, we can lift. Yes, we can separate. But we do that because we want to, but also recognizing that we are already the beloved. There isn't anything else that needs to be done to make us acceptable. So think of these I am statements. I am the essence, expression, and experience of spirit. I am all the qualities of God. So we learn, in my teaching, we learned the top 7: light, life, love, peace, power, beauty, and joy. But we could be here all day and into the night thinking of the qualities, the attributes of spirit, and that's the truth of who we are as well. And this is the vehicle or the container that houses them. But this is not who we are. We are God in expression. Course in Miracles says, you are host to God. How cool is that? Because we know there's no out there. There's no place to go to find this loving, nurturing presence. It dwells within each of us. So I am host to God, which means you are host to God. I am not my clothing size, my weight, my bank balance, my education level, my blood pressure or cholesterol reading, or my age. That says something about us, but that's not who we are. How important it is for us to put the baseball bat down in the garage and not leave it anywhere near the blood pressure machine or the bathroom scale. And if you have not issues, not challenges, if you have opportunities with those kinds of numbers, I so invite us to love ourselves the way we are as we're working to make adjustments as we need to, but without beating ourselves up. What judgment do we attach to those numbers that we're really not? How much time do we spend beating ourselves up over them? Do we postpone our joy and our acceptance of ourselves until? They call that, you might have heard the expression, destination anxiety. I'll be successful as soon as. I'll be happy as soon as. I'll be acceptable and lovable as soon as I lose the weight, gain the weight, get into a new relationship, get out of an old relationship, get my degree, pay off my credit cards, and the list can go on and on and on. And the problem is, until we do, we're not acceptable to ourselves. And so often we make choices in our lives based on that. Well, I'm not good enough for that yet because I haven't. And you get to fill in the blank. Rather than right here in this moment, I'm whole, complete, and perfect. Not that I'm suggesting that we settle, but the point is we are already the beloved. What if we just loved ourselves the way we are at 10:35 or so, 10:31 or so Pacific time? What if we recognized, what if we looked back and said, wow. What if we looked back and said, wow, this that we've been through, these experiences that we've had, how far we've come, how far we have yet to go, but honoring and loving ourselves for the truth of our being rather than yes, but. Yeah, I'm whole, complete, and perfect, but I'll be even more whole, more complete, and more perfect as soon as. Versus, in this moment, I'm already the beloved. I found a great book. Let me just say how much I love Facebook. You've heard me say that before. And there's goofy stuff on Facebook, and I'm not a stockholder, so I have no emotional or financial attachment to Facebook. But there's so many amazing quotes and so much wisdom, and so the stuff that doesn't make your tail wag, you just keep scrolling. That's why God made scrolling. Just keep scrolling. Just go past that. Don't have to stop and leave a comment. Don't have to make it ruin your day. Just keep scrolling. But this amazing author, Jamie Caron, wrote a book titled Being Satisfied in an Endlessly Dissatisfied World. And this is a long quote, but I so invite you to think about this book if this lights you up. And in the book she writes, I've learned, because we're talking about being satisfied now, loving ourselves now, not as soon as. I've learned that outrunning or trying to disprove self-hatred will not be the basis of a happy life. We cannot do enough external things in order to love ourselves. It has to come from within, which means motivation for any change has to come from a place of love. But this idea of self-love is something we're sold all the time. Lose weight, and then you get to love your body. Get the dream job, and then you'll get to love your life. Or just try to collect enough approval from other people so that you feel like your life has meaning and value. It's hard trying to get enough of other people's love in order to confirm something we don't feel within. It's hard enough trying to change ourselves constantly, trying to find the magic pill to try to become enough, be enough, do enough in order to finally have our own love click in. When you love you, all the good in your life becomes amplified. Self-love is so much less about face masks and bubble baths and so much more about the unlearning. It's just that we've been born into a world that convinces us to hate ourselves, to abandon ourselves. So this self-love has to do with honoring the truth of our being. Really, the truth of our being. And bubble bath and all the rest of that, and chocolate and all the rest of that if you want, but there's way more to it than that. Absolutely love that book. So right here, right now, the truth of us is that we're whole, complete, and perfect. We are perfect physical health. We are vibrant power. We are vibrant energy. The fact of us may not be that, because truth, some wise person, not me, once said, truth never changes, but facts sometimes do. So if the fact of us is, I'm just not feeling it today, or this hurts, or this, for whatever reason, is not what I had in mind, sometimes we feel like, well, when you get to be a certain age, and okay, if that's what you want, but I submit to us that there is always something that can be done if we're not feeling the truth of our being. We can decide to be healthy. One of my favorite books is The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. And he talks about it's about deciding to be abundant and deciding to be happy and deciding to be various and sundry things. And one of the things he talks about is deciding to be healthy. And in the book he writes, decision is the most important function of the individual mind. No creative process can begin until a decision is made. Having made that decision, every right idea will flow into my consciousness. Each idea will reveal itself at the instant I need it. The creative process awaits your decision and your calm acceptance of the necessary work on your part following your decision. Ideas flow as you idea follows idea as you proceed in the work of bringing to pass that which you decide which would now be. Your real purpose is you as consciousness, intuitively directed by ideas, free to move in consciousness as consciousness, experiencing endless fields of consciousness. So I'm just not really happy with that pain in my elbow, or I'm just not really happy with the fact that it hurts when I get out of bed in the morning. Thankfully, neither is my experience, but they might be yours. We are not stuck. How important it is for us to recognize that we're not stuck with whatever that physical situation is. There is something we can do about it. And so, continuing in this wonderful book, he writes, the subconscious mind, which is the operative system of the body, cannot start to create a healthy body until the conscious mind acts authoritatively with a decision of health. So the subconscious mind has been busy for weeks, months, or even years, or even maybe generations, gradually building a sick body. It will continue to go on maintaining these illnesses and patterns until it receives a clear and meaningful order from the conscious mind to cease. That is why hope will not work. It carries no authority. It lacks a serious emotional impact that the subconscious mind must have if it's going to reverse itself. So we're always deciding something, consciously or unconsciously. Are we deciding to live by design or default? And I would suggest that this works in our physical bodies, as well as our money, as well as in our relationships, as well as in everything else. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. If you've done your study in New Thought and the history of New Thought, you might remember that we started this back in the mid-1800s because it was not because to come up with enough money to pay the rent. It was because of physical body situations. And in the book, Raymond Charles Barker talks about Nona Brooks, who was one of the founders of divine science. And she was living about 30 miles outside of Denver in the mid-1800s, and a woman had fallen and broken her leg. Well, in about 1860, you didn't call for an ambulance, you didn't call 911, you went and found a horse and a cart, except that there wasn't one close by, and so Nona Brooks did her spiritual mind treatment and watched the leg reset itself. Wow. Because that's what happens. That's what happens when we do our affirmative prayer, our spiritual mind treatment. And that was the starting. And you might remember there was Nona Brooks, and there was Phineas Quimby, and there was Emma Curtis Hopkins, and there will be a test after service this morning, just so you know. But all of these founders of New Thought, that's how it started, was the necessity to heal physical situations. But I can call and get a pill, or I can call and make an appointment, and any of those in 2022 are absolutely fine because we are in a situation and have come to a point where we can go and get that assistance. But how important it is for us to remember that the power that Nona Brooks used in 1860 is the same power that we have available to us in 2022, because nothing's changed. So if there is a physical situation that we're not happy with, we can use this one power to change it. So I have a couple of more quotes for you. And I found this, and I don't know who said it, not me to start with. Your body always responds to your belief about it. What do we say about ourselves? What do we say about the number of times that we've orbited around the sun? Well, you know, when you get to be a certain age, So I live in a condo complex about 2 miles up the road on Baltimore Drive. It's a long commute to church. It's just amazing. And we have there's a circle around the complex. And so Maggie, my enthusiastic golden retriever, and I go out at some hour of the morning to do our walk. And at 6:30 every morning, we run across one of our neighbors. And she's doing her, 5 or 10 circles around the complex. So we were talking about this and that and the other thing, and she commented that she was 83 years old. How cool is that? Some of my best friends are in their 80s and 90s, and they're out going and doing. And I love you, and I honor you, and I celebrate you. And some of you are on this call, and you know how much I love you, and I honor you, and I celebrate you, because the number is just a number. And unless you're a wine or a cheese, it doesn't matter. It only matters if we believe it does. Or we can just keep going and doing what we're going and doing. And how cool is that? So our bodies always respond to our beliefs about it. Well, I'm too old to do that. And our body says, well, okay. I'm going to get out and have an amazing day and go hiking or go to the beach or go whatever. And our body says, okay. It always responds to our belief about it. And oh, by the way, your life, your money, your relationships always respond to our belief about them, because it either works or it doesn't. That's how important it is for us to recognize that. Course in Miracles says there's no degree of difficulty in miracles. So it either works, and it works, just so you know. It works. It either works or it doesn't. It works. It absolutely works if we work it. Absolutely. This body is so amazing and so miraculous and so wonderful. So what do we say about it? Well, what do we say about it? Is it good God, morning, or good morning, God? And if there's pain when we get out of bed in the morning, is there something we can do about it? And what are we posting about ourselves on Facebook? I'm seeing some of my friends post these about, and I'm like, oh, come on now. Your body is listening. Your money is listening. Your life is listening. What do we say about it? Interesting question. What do I say about it? So I love this quote by Ernest Holmes, and I couldn't find which writing it was in, but he wrote, "The body is the house in which, for the present, you are living, and you need to keep it in good repair by a right mental attitude toward it, toward experiences, and toward people. Your body is entitled to your respect." Our bodies are pretty amazing. Excuse me, what do we say about them? Do we honor them and take care of them? Or is it just a sack of potatoes that we're dragging along with us down the street? How important it is to honor and recognize that and be grateful for that. So in the peace and the quiet and the joy and the wonder of this moment, we allow ourselves to be reminded of our oneness with the God presence with one another and with all of life. And we allow ourselves to feel and to know and to accept and to live the truth that we are the essence, expression, and experience of Spirit. That's who we are. We're God on this earth. And so as we move forward, we recognize this truth. We recognize that our best days are ahead of us. And we lovingly release anything unlike love, anything unlike perfect health, anything unlike abundance, so that we can move forward in joy, in passion, in wonder, in great joy. For this beloved spiritual community, for this thing called Zoom, for our time together, for these physical bodies that take us where we want to go and allow us to do what we want to do and experience what we want to experience, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is. So it is.